So the research firm iSeeCars.com looked at 7.7 million new and used cars over a 5-year period to see which ones lost the most money. And here is the list of those vehicles that lost the most money percentage-wise. Now, typically, when a vehicle is sold, it loses half its value after 5 years. But these are the worst based on percentage point. I know it looks like I've given you the answer to the story already, but the real story is going to be within this grid here of all the numbers of the 5-year cost to own it, what it cost in 2015, the cost to buy it today, what it costs to buy it used today, and of course the percentage points of the 5-year loss percentage. So can I get a thumbs up, by the way, for how nice this grid is? It took me a while to make it just perfect. Although my handwriting is not great, the grid is great, so a thumbs up on that one. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So this first column here is the 5-year cost of ownership of that vehicle over 5 years. Gas, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. So with the Chevy Volt, when you bought that back in 2015, you were projected to have to pay about $18,000 over the 5-year period of that vehicle, which turns out to be $3,600 a year. Moving up to the Jaguar XJL, this is a steep one, over $33,000, which would be $6,600 a year. Now the 6 Series, that too is pretty high at $37,500. Now you can see where the real cost of these vehicles come into play. The Ford Fusion Energy, $18,490, so that breaks down to $3,700 a year. The Acura RLX, $31,950 over 5 years, so that's about $6,400. The BMW 5 Series, that's a whopping 33 grand over 5 years. BMW i3, all electric car, $19,500. By the way, as you look at this list, 4 of the top 10 all electric vehicles, in addition to 4 BMWs. Yikes. The Nissan Leaf, just under $15,000 over 5 years. The BMW 7 Series, that's a steep one. Oh my God, when I saw this number, I was like, is that right? $39,880 just for the maintenance, insurance, gas over 5. You can buy a new car, couple cars almost, for $39,880 over 5 years. Now the Maserati Quadcopter, I couldn't find any stats on this. This car is, one of those mysteries on what the cost it would be over 5 years. Let's just go ahead and, because of this, let's just say 40 grand. What the heck? Maybe it's more, I don't know. But isn't that incredible when you see this broken down by not just the cost of the car, but what it costs to maintain it over 5 years. Now to save time, I went ahead and filled in the blank here for what it costs for those vehicles new back in 2015, give or take a few $100. So now you add up this, 5 years ago when you bought the Volt at $34,000, you add on another $18,000 over the life of that vehicle over the last 5 years. Now you can kind of see how expensive these were. Maserati, 108 grand for the lowest. This is the lowest base price getting into the vehicle in 2015 and how it compares to all the different extra costs you had to do. Now I'm going to do what it costs today to buy this same car, but about 5 years later. So here's what I found with the most recent prices at the lowest level, the lowest trim level, and the base price of all the vehicles here on the board. What stands out to you? Now if you look closely, you'll see some very similar numbers from 5 years ago to today. Look at this one. It's actually cheaper today to buy a Chevy Volt than it was 5 years ago. Now you also get a bonus here with the federal tax credits if you go for an all-electric vehicle, and the Chevy fits that category. What else was really close? Ford Fusion Energy, that's very close. The i3 is very close, only by a couple $1,000s, and same thing with the Nissan Leaf. And surprisingly, the Maserati Quattroporte is about the same price as it was 5 years ago, but when you see the 5-year loss percentage, it's going to blow your mind. That's why it's the worst vehicle to own if you want to resale it after 5 years. Now, after doing some digging, this is the best I could find for how much it would cost to buy a 2015 version of those vehicles today, whether it's Carfax, whether it's Kelley Blue Book, and so on. I try to do my best to find the average price of a 2015 version today. So I'm going to fill in the blank there, and then we'll move on. All right, check out those numbers. This is what you could buy a 2015 version today if you wanted to save a lot of money. Now look at the differences here. BMW 6 Series, I got an asterisk next to this because 2019 was the last version trim level they made. They didn't make a 2020, so they stopped making the 6 Series. 2019 was the last model. But wow, what a contrast between the 81 grand for a 2015 version of the XJL Jaguar. Now you can get one today for 30 grand. And the Maserati Quadcopter, what a joke. 108,000 5 years ago. Today you can get one for 40 grand, give or take a couple of $1,000s. What a steal. And now the 5-year loss percentage based on the research from iSeeCars.com. Again, they looked at over 7 million new and used cars sold over the period, and this is the percentage they got. Again, most vehicles lose half their value after 5 years, but these, starting with the Volt, 68.1%, 68.9%, 69, 69.1, 69.2, 69.2, 70.9, 71%, 71.3%, and the Maserati Quattroporte after 5 years, 5-year loss as its percentage point, 72.3% of its original price. There you go, the top 10 vehicles that lose the most value after 5 years and the percentage of loss after 5 years based on the original price versus what you could sell it for today. I know some of you don't plan on selling your cars, then don't worry about this list. Go ahead and buy a brand new one. But if you bought one 5 years ago, don't plan on getting any money back at all. You're gonna be taking a bath in what you bought. But hey, 4 BMWs on the list, 4 all-electric vehicles. Does that say something about what the market says and what's valuable after 5 years? Anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate that. Give me a thumbs up on how beautiful that grid is. If you have any suggestions on topics in the future, let me know, and we'll work on that as well. Adios. So are you in the market for a new or used car? Check out my go-to website for the best deals based on zip code, also in the description below this video. Until next time, I'm Dave Erickson. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Adios.